Here in Wickepin, in the upper Great Southern region of WA, frost is often a major threat to grain production. Frost is a significant cost to the WA grains industry because of the direct loss in production due to frost damage, as well as the opportunity cost that arises when growers implement management strategies to reduce frost risk. This trial is part of the GRDC's National Frost Project, which aims to benchmark varieties for frost tolerance. Here it's used to show just how similar the symptoms of frost damage and copper deficiency really are.
The biggest problem is usually, as an agronomist or someone working in agriculture, we get called in at harvest time because the crop has no grain and the farmer wants to understand why there's no grain in that crop. And so often it's been 2 or 3 months after the event, whether it was a frost or a copper deficiency, and we're trying to then nut out what has led to the grain or limited amount of grain forming in that crop. So it's always harder a couple of months after the crop's senesced to try and work out and track back to what the problem is. As far as we're aware, there's no strong relationship with copper and frost. All our workers, the main driver for the link is that the symptomology is very similar, but the cause and effect is quite different. So in a mild frost event, you might see part of the head taken out. So not the whole head. You might just have the anthers that were flowering on that day or within a couple of days of that event frosted. So that may be in the top of the head or in the middle or at the base of the head, depending on what was flowering at the time of the frost event. As the severity of the frost increases, the amount of damage in the head will increase. So you may have a full head that's totally sterilised. And so often the head actually has a papery, soft feeling to it, and it loses its rigour. So you squeeze the head and it's still green, but it's soft and spongy. So that's when the whole head's been frosted.
Frost is less common on the higher parts of the paddock, but widespread in low-lying areas, whereas copper deficiency can occur in either area and occurs most commonly on coastal sandy soils low in organic matter.
Often where you find the problems. So usually you'll expect to find more severe frost damage on white sandy surface soils and soils that are located lower in the landscape where the cold air accumulates. So that correlation isn't usually the case with copper. If anything, copper is often more of an issue on the hilltops, on the lighter soil textured soils, whereas frost that's really on the white sandy soils lower in the landscape would usually be more severe. And as you work your way up the hill, you should see a dropping off in the severity.
To date, researchers found that there is no link to support the use of foliar-applied copper or other micronutrients to mitigate the impacts of frost damage.
At the moment, micronutrients last a long time in the soil, and it's the reapplication that we're considering in the new project. That's why we're looking at a whole range of different methods, whether it be fluids, granules or foliar sprays or seed dressings to give what would be the best way to reapply the micronutrients in the future with minimum tillage and soil disturbance.
For further information about the copper and frost trials, visit the Department of Agriculture and Food website. You can also download the My Crop app from the department's website, which aids in paddock crop diagnostics. Visit the Grains Research and Development Corporation's website for more information about the More Profit from Crop Nutrition program.